And welcome back to the Weiss Schwarz BCS 24-25 World Finals. I'm Randall Ege-Shizukatsu.
And I'm Ian.
And we're about to jump into top 4. So as we were saying before the top 8 game, those 2 players for our streamed game were the only 2 so far today that had not been on stream. And so from here on out, it's going to be all familiar faces.
Yes, if you've watched all the matches, you should know everyone.
Mm-hmm.
We will test you on this one.
It's going to be on the quiz.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what do we have for this match? We're going to have Jose Elamar, who's going to be playing the 7 Deadly Sins. This was earlier in the day. We saw the I'm going to level 3 no matter what play with the double Hendrickson clock himself.
Yeah, that was such a cool play that he went from 2-4 all the way up to 3-0 just by clocking himself twice. And him also preparing the turn before that.
Yeah, that was
crazy.
Very, very heads-up play. And then also, in the middle of all that, on the turn that he actually leveled up, managed to grab that level 3 copy, or that third copy of level 3 Hendrickson, even hit a Brainstorm to salvage 2 more cards, and he even just had the icing on top. I have enough hand. I can play this Climax slot to top tick 2 rearrange and get the knowledge.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool play from Jose. And then on the other end, we're going to have Volkrock from Australia.
No, it's from France.
From Australia, from France, sorry. Sorry, we have the right. So
yeah.
Volkrock from France.
Yeah, apparently he won the France mirror match this time around. I don't remember which of Naka and Volkrock managed to win in Swiss.
I believe it was Volkrock.
I think it was Volkrock as well. So once again, winning the France mirror match. And congratulations to Volkrock, Jose, Bran, and Yo Fuzzy for making it into top 4. They will already be rewarded the Fern promo.
And yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at that Fern promo. At long last, we have the promo. So these are the Fern level 0 brainstorms that our players are, well, not competing for anymore. The owners of these have basically all been set in stone.
Yeah, they already have all of these.
Yeah, so our 4 competitors that unfortunately did not advance to top 4 will get their copies of the top 8 promo, while the 4 players that we have remaining are going to get the top 4 copy of the Fern Brainstorm. And then for our winner, we can finally take a look at that beautiful art. Magic to create a field of flowers, a very important card in the Freerun deck for its ability to mess with your opponent's deck state while also salvaging you a card at the same time. Great card. Yeah, I don't know if you knew this, but it's not really a card that's seen in the most prominent builds of Freerun, but this card can actually be grabbed off of a specific Brainstorm.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking of another 3-1 event when I was thinking of a Freerun event, but this is also an interesting one.
Yeah. Shuffle all of your opponent's stock into their deck, replace it with an equal number from the top, and then you may salvage a character. So
very strong.
Yeah, you just get that. It's kind of like you're like doing a pay 1 salvage event, but you also get a free stock shuffle on top if you want to think of it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so those are going to be our champion prizes and top 4 and top 8 prizes. Our players are, I think they are about ready to jump into the game. Looks like they are waiting patiently to me. So
yeah, so we will be watching Jose playing 7 Deadly Sins versus Volkrock playing Nikke.
And Volkrock's deck, the Nikke deck, is the comeback standby build, heavily inspired by like the way the Japanese players have been playing it. We weren't able to see any of these supposed hyper aggro cooks from Nikke, unfortunately, in the top 8, and so we will be left with just this one very safe, conservative, high floor build in our top 4 game.
Yeah, last time we saw Volkrock pretty much stabilizing on level 3, managing to finish it out barely.
The one thing that I remember mostly from this game was actually the level 3 Sin being used to get that guaranteed burn 1 as the finish.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, after stacking it on top with the Alice. And then in that particular game, when it was in the Bochi the Rock matchup, we also saw the Dino Bochi beating over the Alice, which are normally supposed to be like your mainstay bodies at the level 2 game. But they had the rerun or the run back in the top 8 game, right? And Volkrok was the victor in that particular game. Let's go ahead and take a look at the opening hands here for our two players. We have on Jose's side, we have a copy of the Elizabeth Climax combo, always good to see, as well as a copy of her Climax. And we have a copy of the Escanor level 0 stock bomb. That could be wow, look at all these level 0s, man. What a great hand to open with. And that level 0 Escanor stock bomb might be a very useful card to use against the Tia, which has the on-death top check 4. But because Jose opened with it, it gives Volkrok the freedom to put whatever he wants against it.
Yeah. Maybe he is considering getting it back at a later point of time.
Oh, since he drew that level 0 Meliodas, right?
Yeah.
That seems perfectly reasonable to me. And so we are seeing Volkrok here playing the Tia to the center slot. It's going to be direct attacking, while Maiden is going to be the one taking the brunt of this Escanor effect and getting sent to stock.
Yeah, so maybe kind of ended up baiting out the Tia to the board by putting the Escanor on the other side.
Mm-hmm. I think what could be potentially problematic here is actually if Jose draws into a copy of the level 0 Meliodas that lets you move a character to back row. That would be a little bit of an awkward situation, because you need to decide at that point, do you want to use that level 0 Meliodas to move something to back row, reversing this Tia, or do you want to use the Escanor to send it to stock and deny the on-death ability?
Mm-hmm. And we do see Jose drawing and clocking the Goddess Ember. And I think that's actually a very good card in this matchup. So
we were talking earlier about how this could be potentially used against the Modernia level 3. In order to activate her event, you do need a copy of that level 3 on board, but if they send it to memory first, then you can't send it to memory as cost. And as you were mentioning, we do see the level 0 Meliodas using its effect. On play, you can discard a card, reveal the top card of your deck, and salvage a character of equal or lower level, followed up by 2 copies of the Elizabeth Climax combo, which we will be seeing here.
Already one of the Escanors milled, so it's already a level 1 bomb. Except it gets salvaged back to hand.
Yeah. I mean, we're just using it against level 0s at the moment anyway, so I think it's perfectly fine to salvage one here, and then once the one on the board ends up going to waiting room, the one in hand will become a level 1 stock bomb in its place. And notably, Jose also did get a second copy of the Stock Soul off of his Clock Draw 2, already having one from his initial hand. And so he will be able to play his Climax combo at least 2 turns in a row moving forward.
Yeah, this is going to be huge for Jose. Being able to push advantage and push a lot of damage as well as advantage.
A lot of damage.
Yeah, a lot of damage. All the way up to 1-3 already. That is kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
When you're if you're Volkrok, do you think this is like a very bad position to be in?
I think personally this would be a great position to be in personally. So from Volkrok, sorry.
Yeah.
From Volkrok, I think it would depend on the contents of his hand, which at the current moment do not look okay. Well, oh my god! Clock draw 2, draw Modernia plus comeback trigger Climax. You literally could not ask for a better draw 2 right there. And I believe Volkrok did have copies of Summer Rappy in hand, so we could use those now to potentially filter through the deck. But first we're going to start with a copy of the Delta to top check to rearrange. Maybe if the plan is to only play 1 copy of Summer Rappy this turn, you could use the top check to rearrange to pick out which of the 2 you want to actually be drawing off of that effect. I don't think either of those 2 cards were particularly great adds, though. I think the card that Volkrok really wants to see at some point is a copy of the Jackal Brainstorm.
Right.
Maybe using this drop salvage effect of Delta here to grab... No, just grabbing a 3rd Modernia. Okay.
Makes sense. Just pushing for more advantage.
Mm-hmm. And we did see a level 3 among the top 2 cards that were top checked by the Delta, so we will have a guaranteed free stock, bonus stock, from the first of these Modernia combos. We're also going to see the Rappy, which is going to be drawing the level 0 Tia that was left on top of the deck by the Delta. And then discarding the other Summer Rappy.
Okay, so now we know that the last card is guaranteed a level 3, right?
Yeah, the card that's remaining on top of the deck. So we're going to bounce back this Summer Rappy upon playing the Climax. Give the on attack choose a card from the top 2 to remain on deck. We're going to give that to that Modernia. And then since we know what the top card is, we don't even need to attack with that one first. We should attack with one of the others.
We want to attack with one of the others. Oh, surprise, it's a level 3.
Wow, I wonder how that got there. I would definitely pick up Jackal Brainstorm here. There we go. That can be used to great effect on the follow-up turns in combination with the Summer Rappy that we know is in Volkrok's hand due to being bounced back.
And I think there was a second copy of that Rappy as well, right, in his hand?
Yeah, the second one was discarded off of the first Summer Rappy's Draw Ditch.
Okay, yeah.
So the top check 2 revealed the level 0 Tia and the level 3 that we saw that go to stock. And so with the first Summer Rappy, he drew into the Tia and then discarded the second Summer Rappy. So he will just have the one copy moving forward. We see the Jackal Brainstorm revealed off the top for the second copy. So going to be able to salvage a level 1 or lower, but not going to be able to get a bonus stock. We're seeing a second Tia add to hand. And finally, we have the third attack. This was the one that has the top check 2, as indicated by that die that was chilling on top of the card. So we get 2 chances to see if we can get a bonus stock.
It's always funny when people are hesitating. I was thinking maybe it's like a climax on top or something. Every time it always feels like it takes a little bit extra time to process that there's a climax on top there. And he did hit this stock, right?
Yeah, so he hit the stock. The top 2 cards of the deck were actually 2 level 3s. So the hesitation was about which one he actually wanted to send to stock. And what he ended up doing was sending the Alice early play from the top 2 to the waiting room, revealing the Modernia level 3 from the top, and then salvaging back that Alice that just got sent to the waiting room.
Yeah.
And Jose got 2 very nice cancels here. And as I was starting to say earlier, before I realized which player we were talking about, I think Jose is in a really good spot here. He can use the Lost Vein Meliodas' 6/5 power to contest the 6k of the Modernias. And then additionally, he can use that Escanor Stock Bomb that he got the previous turn to get rid of the third copy. So just able to answer all of the bodies on the board and push for a lot of damage with the Stock Soul combo, while at the same time building a ton of stock. There's no reason really for Jose to be spending stock here if he doesn't need to. So we're just going to build even more by playing a Stock Soul.
He did cancel a lot of instances of damage last turn, so maybe he would want to mill a little bit for the brainstorm, but I also don't see a real big reason to commit too much to.
Yeah, I think this is a situation where, as we've been saying earlier, it's kind of the difference between a player that wants to get out of a bad deck state versus a player that wants to play with the remains of a bad deck state. So here we will see the Brainstorm.
Yeah, there's one Brainstorm committed. And we did hit 1 Climax, so we're now 5 Climaxes out, I think.
And then there's a Stock Soul in hand. I would say overall, brainstorming here is... It's not a good or bad play necessarily. I think it's just a perfectly fine play to go for. It's just kind of a player preference sort of thing. Grabbing the level 3 Hendrickson quite early. Oh, we're going with double Brainstorm, actually. So I think Jose just wants to go for a full reset on this turn then.
Yeah.
We're going to be grabbing the 3rd copy of Lost Vein Meliodas off of that Brainstorm hit. And between the Climax combos, milling 1 apiece, and the Lost Vein Meliodas' ability to... Oh! Okay, so I guess we're saving that for a follow-up turn then. So that he can get 2 more Lost Veins on the next turn.
I think that kind of makes sense because he's planning to... No, wait, he's not planning to refresh with them.
Yeah, they are going to just live. They're going to swing 6/5 over the 6Ks.
But he is going to refresh with another copy, maybe. So probably trying to keep his options open to search another Meliodas next turn.
We're not totally sure where the fourth one is though. It doesn't look like it's in the waiting room.
Yeah, if it's in deck still, it might still be a little bit awkward.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it can be milled off of the on-attack effect of one of the two Lost Vein Meliodases that are already on the board.
Yeah, he'll definitely be looking for plays like that.
So choosing to attack with the Lost Vein first. I feel like if you still have a Climax in your deck, you would probably want to attack with the Lost Veins later rather than earlier, as it gives you the flexibility to potentially keep a Climax in your deck at the very end. But here we're just going to see going straight in for the Lost Vein Meliodases, just kind of committing to the, like, I'm going through these cards.
Yeah, it's just committing to the line that he was planning to, which is a perfectly fine line. Oh, and there's the Meliodas, so
the last one.
It does seem like he won't be able to set up double Meliodas for next turn, but it's also alright.
I don't think it's unreasonable to just look to hit a Brainstorm and just hard play double Meliodas from hand without actually using the effect to search for a second one. Like, having the Lost Vein Meliodas pair is fine regardless of how you got the second one, right? Like, if you just happen to pawn 2 copies, that's fine. If you use the effect to call out a second one, that is also fine.
But now there's no real way to get the second one, right? Because one of them is in stock, two will be hidden in the grave. So you have to hit a Brainstorm to get a second one, basically.
You could also activate a copy of the Fairy King's Forest, the 2/0 event, which allows you to salvage a card. But I don't know if I would consider Lost Vein Meliodas a really high priority salvage target that you would want to commit a guaranteed salvage off of the 2/0 event.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, it just depends on what kind of hand he will be playing with next turn. If he will have another Climax, if he needs to contest board.
So let's see what we're gonna be playing on Volkrok's side. We have the Jackal Brainstorm first, probably followed up by Summer Rappy, but first, a deck size check. We also see a standby Climax that entered Volkrok's hand this turn, so that could be used to bring out potentially a Sin level 3 or a... Honestly, I think this is the kind of matchup where Biscuit, the level 3 Climax combo for Nikkei, would actually be a really good card to bring out here. Because the thing about STS is they really want to damage race you. And bringing out Biscuit would give you a way to heal down turn after turn using her on-attack effect of discarding a card to heal.
Oh, that's an on-attack heal.
Yeah, it's an on-attack heal. It doesn't have an on-play effect. And I think Biscuit here would be a lot better than the Sin level 3, the Global 15 that we saw in the previous game of Nikkei on stream. Because the 1500 Global, I really feel like it's not going to make too much of a difference. SCS is just going to be slamming in weenies if you present really big bodies.
Yeah.
And so I think that the Biscuit, combined with the Alice early play that was just picked up, and the Alice early play that we know Volkrok already had in hand, I think Biscuit might be the way to go for this matchup.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I wonder if he will be committing the standby Climax for that in the end.
I mean, if you want to get the Biscuit out, it is pretty important to get it out as early as possible, just so you can start getting those heals as early as possible as well. And you're at 2-0 now. Looking forward, you just want to try to minimize damage and then heal off whatever damage you do take with the Alice heal and the Biscuit heal. And I think I did see a Biscuit lined up at the top all ready to go, but we're going to just take a quick look through the waiting room to see if there's any other options that you could potentially go for. And yeah, there we see the Biscuit.
So now we'll be having to play around a heal every single turn.
And then
also has Encore, right?
Yeah, it has hand Encore, 10-5 power. And then we know that there's another Alice waiting in his hand to use on the next turn, so we could potentially have 2 heals coming up.
So this might be like the exact situation that Volkrok wants to be in. Just on level 2, healing down 2 by every turn.
Yeah, even considering that he went to level 2 first, I don't feel like he is in a terrible spot. Jose also does not have any Climaxes left in his hand after playing those first 2 Stock Souls, so unless he draws one here, we could see a very, very big swing in damage and advantage between the two players.
Yeah, I think it will be very dependent on if he manages to draw another climax, whether or not this game will be like will even be close. I think. I think I really like the situation or the board state that Folkrock has set up right now.
Going to be top decking that level 1 Meliodas. Now, these last two triggers from Volkrock, though, were both of the 2 copies in the deck of that level 3 event. And so, if Jose's paying attention to the location of those 2 events, he might be able to ignore it moving forward in the late stages of the game. So, I definitely think Volkrock will want to be conscious of, if he brings out a Modernia level 3, that Jose might know that he doesn't have either of those 2 events in hand at the moment.
Oh, interesting. So Folkrock had the ability to check 2, but ended up triggering the first card, so it does seem like there's still a climax left in deck in his 2 cards. 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 more climaxes left. I actually don't remember any triggers.
We know he doesn't have one in hand because the cards in hand are the. Wait, did he have one in hand? He has Summer Rappy.
Do you think it's possible that both of them are climaxes?
I guess we will see. We have Summer Rappy, the 2/1 that got healed from Clock, and then we have the second Alice. Yeah, so those are all known cards.
I feel like I didn't see any climaxes in Jose's hand.
Well, we see them in the Brainstorm, that's for sure.
Yeah. But like, how do you actually convert these cards in hand? Like Jose actively clocked to dig for a climax.
Mm-hmm. And then
so like, finding more advantage, finding more hand advantage doesn't actually get you anywhere, I think.
I think what the situation here is, we're going to start with this level 0 Elaine with her 2 on play abilities. Potentially allows you to dig for potentially allows you to dig for a climax. And the order there was actually super important. You have to use the 2 top check effects in a specific order. So one of them is you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it is a character, you add it to hand and discard a card. And the second one is you discard a character to draw a card. So if you did it in the other order, you would just be stuck with a Stock Soul on top of your deck at this point. So
yeah,
the fact that he did the reveal, top, add, ditch before doing the draw effect allowed him to get that Stock Soul into hand. And from this point, he has guaranteed double combo and can also use the 2 copies of Lost Vein Meliodas that are in his hand to not only deal with the characters that are on Volkrock's board, the Jackal, Brainstorm, and the Tia, but also will allow him to choose his triggers, maybe try to push for more damage and get Volkrock to level 3 as soon as possible so he can't make use of those Alice and Biscuit heals throughout level 2 game.
However, it will be very hard to push for damage with this in this situation because there's at least 1 climax left in Volkrock's deck. I'm not sure if there's a second one. So, do you think there's ever a world where you just do not commit the climax this turn because of the climax, because of the cancels?
I think it's probably still important for hand sculpting purposes to use the climax combo to get cards that you know you will want moving forward. There we did see Fairy King's Forest being used to go to stock, actually.
Yeah, because there's way too many cards in his hand.
Yeah.
He needs to convert it in some way, and that card is like the perfect way to convert it.
Mm-hmm. Playing the Hauser here. This is a front 500 that also can sacrifice himself and discard a card to salvage any character from Waiting Room. And he's just going to kind of chill in the back row. And with this climax combo pair, Jose is going to go up to 7 cards again and potentially go through a bunch more between his attacks and the Lost Vein Meliodas pair.
Yeah, I think preferably he does not want to go through a lot of deck, but based on the mills and based on the triggers, he might choose to go faster.
So here's an interesting consideration from Jose's position. What if on this turn you potentially went for the 2/1 Hawk that has the effect to shuffle all but 1 climax from your opponent's Waiting Room back into their deck?
Yeah, I was thinking about that before as well, especially if you read that there's 2 climaxes left on deck, it's correct?
Yeah. And it was in the waiting room available to be grabbed if he so chose.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that given the situation, if you have a read that Volcroc has 1 or even 2 climaxes remaining in the deck, it could be a really good card to grab to try to push Volcroc to level 3 in this position.
Yeah, but there's obviously no guarantees that there's 2 of them. Yeah, it's not 2. It's
Okay.
1. And I think if it's just 1, it's perfectly fine to just attack into it, right? You don't really need to commit that many resources into refreshing with the Hawk.
Mm-hmm. Maybe there was already 7 in waiting room. Maybe we missed one in the count.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember Volcroc triggering. Oh, actually, no. I take that back. There was a door a comeback climax triggered at one point, I believe.
I do not remember any combat triggers, but maybe I'm misremembering.
Maybe I'm misremembering. Well, we know that Volcroc is going back with at least 6.
Yeah.
And on this next turn, in terms of stock expenditure for Volcroc, we're definitely looking to play at least the 3/2 Alice to get another heal off. I think that Volcroc is definitely going to want to try to secure another copy of the Jackal Brainstorm in his hand because the one on stage is about to get run over. Top checking with the Lost Vein Meliodas. We see 5 climaxes out currently. So maybe we just take it nice and slow, just trigger the first card and leave the climaxes in the deck. But we did also see 1 copy of Goddess Amber that just got triggered, and the other copy is in waiting room.
Waiting room, yeah. So he doesn't have that prepared. However, the events on Volcroc's side were also both in stock, right?
Yeah, so probably not a huge concern to have those in rotation.
Yeah. It will be pretty hard for Volcroc to sculpt into one of those.
Going to be triggering the gate to salvage a gate and prepare himself for the level 3 game.
Yeah, I believe we also saw Jose prep Hendrickson level 0 in case he needs to do the same aggressive play again where he levels himself up.
Mm-hmm. I think this is a very different position from the first game, though.
Yeah.
Volcroc is significantly healthier than it was Bunny Girl in that previous game, right? And he is about to become even healthier when he plays this Alice and attacks with the Biscuit.
He does need to wait to get consistent hand back.
Modernia Climax being drawn here, but not the greatest card to see when you don't have any copies of Modernia to work with.
You can always discard it for the Biscuit heal at least.
Mm-hmm.
In case you really want to get rid of it from your hand.
Yeah. You cannot discard it with the 3/2 Alice, but you can discard it for the cost of the Biscuits on attack heal. So something that we, as the casters, haven't really talked about yet, but what are your thoughts on the fact that the deck only runs 2 copies of the Biscuit, despite it being the level 3 combo? So the combo itself is pay 1, ditch 1, burn 4 on attack.
Yeah, I think that kind of thing often happens when the finisher isn't actually that good. So I kind of assume that it doesn't rely on actually finishing with this too often, or with multiples of this.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's you have more accurate finishers in the form of the Modernia. No, wait.
Well, no, the Sin... So the Sin is the one that burns based on an opponent's soul.
Yeah.
But it's at a hefty cost of 5, but you can get precision damage. And sometimes you can evenly mess up one of the opponent's characters. Maybe they had something that lived, and you want to rest it so they can't use it on their follow-up turn. Or you can rest something that needs to rest itself, like a Brainstorm.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it kind of just wants to piece together a quote-unquote endgame over multiple turns by using healers to just sustain.
Yeah, basically the way this game is going is probably the perfect situation for Nikke, right? Just hard stabilizing on level 2.
Why are we... I'm curious as to why we are...
Positioning the
putting the Alice
there?
Yeah. Because if you put them both across from the Lost Vein Meliodas, it would allow 2 of them to top deck.
Yeah, I'm not sure why we're not top decking both at this point.
Maybe it's just because he recognized that there are a good number of climaxes remaining in Jose's deck, given that he didn't go through too many off of the Lost Vein Meliodas top checks, and he felt that top decking the character was not super valuable for trying to stick extra damage. We will see the Modernia climax getting discarded here for the heal. And
what if he doesn't want to deal damage?
Maybe. I feel like though this would be a perfect opportunity to try to deal a lot of damage to Hendrickson though, because if you put Hendrickson to level 3, it's not even a healing level 3 finisher. So it's kind of a once you're there, you're just kind of there. And it would put Jose in a situation where he either needs to do like literally nothing for a turn or like turn on the gas.
Yeah.
And Volkrok's damage is not in a good position to be turning the gas on against.
I think he might just want to be safe. If Jose needs to commit one of those level 0 Hendricksons to level himself up, that is a resource less to work with. Or even 2 resources less.
1 card and 1 stock, because unlike a level 0 that would search from the deck and add to hand, this one summons to the board.
Yeah, but he can get the Brainstorm level 0, the Elaine, which is almost advantage, because you can convert this Hendrickson back into like a card in hand if you do hit the Brainstorm. We do see him commit for this play though, so once again he's going all in from 3-0 and trying to finish from 2-2.
So we know Jose already had the gate climax in hand from the previous turn, salvaged off of the triggered gate, and he also drew a stock soul here, so 2 climaxes in hand, and then also just hit 1 off of the Brainstorm.
How much stock are we working with right now?
Looks like 9 stock. So after triple Hendrickson, it will be 3. And you only need 1 to start your attack phase with. Just grabs another stock soul off the top.
He didn't end up using the Hendrickson level 0 for the Brainstorm. So just keeping the Elaine on board. In case you need it later.
So at this point, I believe Jose has 5 climaxes left in deck. And judging by these 3 Hendricksons just going top check, add, top check, add, top check, add, he's going for that line of play that wants to preserve the number of climaxes still in the deck, rather than go for like a reset.
Yeah. I think he's trying to finish, or trying to push damage, but also trying to make sure that he's still at 3-0. He's not gonna get killed from here.
Hopefully. Oh, local 1 always hits.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no, we saw the climax getting sniped off the top of the deck.
Yeah.
And the 4 sticking because of it, and then, the cancel there.
I mean, like, I would rather stick the 4 than the 3. So.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so climax combo here. Pay 1, discard 2. Why are we keeping all these stock souls in hand? Maybe to throw Volkrok off of the fact that he's out those climaxes in hand?
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah, so pay 1, discard 2. Look at the top card of your opponent's deck. You can either leave it there or send it to waiting room. Typically, you would only send it to waiting room if it's a climax. And then you burn 4, and then you get the actual swing. So this Hendrickson does have the potential to be 3 attacks, kind of. If you kind of treat like milling a climax off the top as like an attack in itself, which is extremely powerful.
We do see the 3 sticking.
We're at 3-2 now. So we need 4. We need both the 4 and the 3 to stick.
Or a refresh point. And it does seem like we're getting close to that refresh point over here.
He's now showing the stock souls off of the discard.
Okay, both of the stock souls committed to the discard. 4 is sticking.
Oh my god. And then a 3.
3-2. all the way up to 3-6 already.
This is the last attack into the biscuit. So I do want to note here that Jose did attack into the Alice's first, and I think that is quite important. If he attacked into the if he attacked into one of the two Alices on the final attack of the turn, Volcroc could potentially use a counter here. Oh,
the game is over?
That's just it.
He just took it? Only one climax left in deck. It felt like he was so compressed this turn.
Yeah, what I was gonna say was Jose could use Volcroc could use a counter if he attacked with the Alice that would top deck one of the Hendricksons and allow it to be used for potentially dealing more damage because it would be a clean card on top. But instead, we are just seeing Jose doing the same thing that he did in the earlier game, just going to level 3 and pulling a win out from 2-2.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. He would have even been able to finish from 2-0 with this amount of damage.
Because he overkilled by 2 damage, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's 14 clean damage. Or not completely clean because, of course, there was one climax milled off of the Hendrickson effect.
Yeah, so his one climax milled.
One instance was cancelled.
And then, yeah. Wow. That was a lot of damage that just went through.
Yeah, it turns out that burn 4 is a lot of damage.
Yeah, it turns out that burn 1 snipe a climax is it allows your lot of damage to really just get in there.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
That is just kind of one of the scary things about Hendrickson. Like I'm pretty sure both of the players did not expect him to die on that turn.
Yeah, it felt like Volcroc was in a pretty stable position, and kind of committing to that finisher in that turn felt. I think it's not too weird because. Just playing a slow game against a deck that wants to go slow is also not a solution. But it did feel kind of risky because sometimes they just cancel. You end up with 0 resources left after a finishing turn, and yeah, you're just going to be sitting there trying to attack 3 times, right?
Yeah. So on both sides, that could have had some potentially big consequences. So from the side of SES, like you said, you could potentially have no resources left. But at the same time, from 3-0, and especially knowing that you have a non-zero number of climaxes remaining in the deck, versus a deck like Nikke, which isn't representing a lot of endgame strength, you would probably feel pretty safe going for that anyway, I feel.
Yeah, I think you would feel safe, in the terms of not dying that turn.
Right.
But after that turn, if Nikke ends up on 3-0, for example, I think you wouldn't be happy. It's you have 0 resources to work with. You're gonna end up trying to triple attack,
double brainstorm to try to desperation find a climax again.
Yeah.
Although I will say that one thing that Jose would have been able to do on potential follow-up turn is because he had 3 stock, so you could 3 stock one of the copies of the Hendrickson, and then you have the brainstorm Elaine that was sitting in the back row that could be used to potentially get a climax without needing to use any stock as well.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of different things that could have happened here. Obviously, that burn 1 was really not the burn 1. The burn 1 was I definitely think was the deciding factor in this particular game.
Yeah, that kind of effect on a burn 4, it's actually crazy.
And a lot
so impactful.
A lot of other burn 4s that have extra things tacked on to them. Usually, I feel like it's stuff you get to stack a card from the opponent's waiting room on the top of the deck, which is also pretty good. But it's not. It can't be a fake third instance of damage.
Yeah.
Which is what makes it so strong.
Yeah.
Alright, so that is going to be our top 4 game. Let me see here if we have a winner yet for the other side of the bracket. We do not. Okay, so
at the very least, congratulations to Volcroc. He's going to be playing the finals already. Who do you expect to win in the other matchup?
Okay, so on the other side, who do we have? We have
Yo Fuzzy on Bunny Girl versus, I think, Bran playing Quince.
Honestly, it's kind of tough to say. I think... Okay, so Bran is not on the -3 soul counter, because we know that from his earlier game. We are on the level 0. I guess it's like the James Ironwood equivalent from Ruby, right? It's like basically the same card. We're on that level 0 Nino for our choice list. So doesn't have a lot in the way of mitigating potential damage. Honestly, it's kind of a toss-up. I think the biggest thing for me is that the Quince player is probably going to have a pretty easy time holding board during the mid game, just due to all of the high power characters you're bringing out via standby. As we saw in that earlier game, though, Bunny Girl does have the potential option, if the situation allows, to go for that level 2 Mai that ordinarily you're only just seeing shipped off to memory to grab one of your endgame pieces, but being able to swing for 12-5 and on 2 soul attacker at that could be really important for pushing the Bunny Girl player, or pushing the Quince player into an uncomfortable position.
Yeah. I do think playing standby helps a lot against this deck, against Bunny Girl, but I'm not sure how much. It's pretty hard to quantify like how good or bad a matchup becomes because of standby. I had this one game where I was playing 8 standby Ruby against it, where I just kind of snowballed out of control because they couldn't clear my board, and for some reason they just kept leaking a lot of damage because they had to keep crashing their board. They couldn't keep up finding their level 1 combos back because they kept on crashing. It's a little bit weird.
At that point, I think that it does matter on what you are using the 2-1 event to grab, because at that point, for the lines of play that I was mentioning that I like to go for, I like to use those 2-1 events to grab pieces that can go to memory, but also grab my endgame pieces. So things like the level 0 Mai that salvages and goes to memory, level 1 Mai that's a reverser that searches and goes to memory. But in that kind of game state, where you know that you're probably going to be losing board, you might want to instead prioritize going for level 1 combos off of that salvage 2 event and try to go for multiple turns of combo turn after turn, instead of just going for the more conventional lines that you could go for against a 1k1 deck.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to see how that one goes. In the final game, we already have 7 Deadly Sins. What do you think the best matchup for Jose would be?
I think 7 Deadly Sins would fare better into the Bunny Girl matchup, personally, just because Bunny Girl really wants to play a long enough game that you can accumulate all your resources and then get the big package done at the end of the game. Nino, I think, is a much more resilient deck under pressure, being able to use that early level deficit to stand by out bigger things and then take control of the game from there. And so I think that between the two, SES would rather play into Bunny Girl.
Yeah. Another thing that I kind of think might be important is that SES does run a stock swap, right?
Yes.
So and Bunny Girl does want to end up with a lot of stock for their finisher. So sometimes you get into very vulnerable situations where a stock swap can matter a lot.
I do think it's going to be a bit random, though.
Yeah.
Because the thing about the Bunny Girl deck is, just because of the potential deck states you can find yourself in, and the level 1 Mai combo potentially being a liability by causing you to trigger more climaxes than you want, you might not actually run into an optimal situation for a stock swap, or you can't rely on your opponent to give you the situation that's optimal for a stock swap. And I do think that I would probably say Nino is probably in kind of a same position as well, because the thing about Nino is that they are not necessarily actively looking to trigger clean every time. They could be potentially trying to dig for a standby to build their board or something like that, and that could kind of throw off whether or not a stock swap is good in any given situation. Maybe the Hawk 2-1 becomes better in certain situations, but you would have to prioritize those cards. And I believe in both of the games that we saw Jose play today, he wasn't putting high priority on either of those two profiles, the stock swap or the 2-1 Hawk.
Yeah, I do think that there weren't very great positions to use it in. Although I do think I have considered some of them sometimes, so it might have been good.
Yeah, he was definitely putting higher priority on just like the end game pieces though, like the 3-2 Hendricksons. And then we saw in this game, off of those 3-2 Hendricksons, not really going out of his way to grab specific pieces. Even though I think he actually did end up having an extra card in hand at the end, so he could have like kept something around for the following turn. One of the cards of his choice in his hand, right? But yeah, just like by only going through one card each, showing more priority towards keeping the climaxes in his deck and not having a very high priority on potential future options, which is quite interesting considering, like as we said, nobody was really expecting the game to end from 2-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we ended that game with a blast.